This video will be about section 403, linear equations. When you are working with a linear equation is the graph. The graph is a straight line, and the equation is given by the formula y equals mx plus b. So graph is a straight line. Then the equation is usually given by y equals mx plus b. And really what makes this linear is that none of the variables have a exponent. This is not y squared or x cubed. That makes it linear because they do not have the exponent on it. So when it's written in this form, y equals mx plus b, that is called slope-intercept form. And there is some information you can find right away when it's written in slope-intercept form. You can figure out what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. On a graph, the y-intercept is where we cross the y-axis. And it's always given as the point 0, comma, and then whatever y value we get, so 0, comma, y. And the slope is the rise over the run. So it's how fast your line is going up or down. So we want it in slope-intercept form because it's really, really good for identifying some key pieces of information, and it's really, really good for graphing. So when we are given something in standard form, we want to be able to rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So standard form looks like this: ax plus by equals c. Just changes where the x and the y are in the equation. And uses some different letters because we don't know which one's slope, which one's y-intercept from this. So let's do an example where we actually change an equation from standard form to slope-intercept form. If we have 4x minus 2y equals 8, we need to start by doing some of our opposites. We want to move this entire 4x to the other side. To do that, we have to use addition or subtraction. So since this is a positive 4x, we need to do the opposite and minus 4x. When we do that, the negative 2y comes down. Now, the 4x and the 8 cannot combine. They are not like terms. 8's a constant, 4x has the variable x. So when they can't combine, we just write them next to each other. We're going to be tempted to write it 8 minus 4x just because top to bottom makes more sense to go left to right. We read left to right and we read lists top to bottom, so we're used to that being the starting. But because we want it to be x first and then the y-intercept, we've got to put the negative 4x first, and then the 8 is positive, so plus 8. Next, we want to move just the 2 in front of the y, so we are going to divide both sides by negative 2. When we do that, we've got to divide every single term by negative 2. That gives us y equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2x. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So now that we have it in slope-intercept form, we can say, okay, this number in front of x, that's my slope, or m. This number behind x, that's my y-intercept, or -4, except we're going to write it in its point form, so 0, -4. So if I were to give you a slope and a y-intercept, I could write an equation. We would just be taking that information and plugging it in. So if I said the slope was -1/3, and I said you have the point 0, 2, then we could write the equation. If we know it's y equals mx plus b, we would know m is the slope, so we replace the letter m with -1/3. The letter x is always part of your linear equation. And then we know if the point is 0, 2, that this is the y-intercept, which means we have +2 since the 2 was positive. The last thing this section may ask you to do is they'll give you an equation, and they'll say the domain for this equation, and they'll list a couple of numbers, 2, 3, and 4. Find the range. All this is asking you to do is to plug these numbers in. Starting with 2, you have to do it one at a time. So if we start at 2, we get y equals 2 times 2 minus 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Minus 1 is 3. Next we go into the next one, 3. So we do 2 times 3, because we're always replacing the letter x. Minus 1, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. Remember, we always have to do multiplication before subtraction because of order of operations. Then we look for 4. 2 times 4 minus 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Minus 1 is 7. Therefore, the range is 3, 5, and 7. We could also put this in table format if we wanted. Since the x values were 2, 3, and 4, and then the y values we found, so for 2 we found 3, for 3 we found 5, for 4 we found 7. So you could also put it in table format. So that concludes our discussion on section 4.3.